Hi, welcome to the Crypto Republic. Before we dive in, if you're serious about staying ahead in this once-in-a-lifetime financial shift, make sure you like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe to the Crypto Republic. You know, every once in a while, the market gives you that feeling, that eerie silence before something massive happens. And right now, that silence, that stillness, feels like it's centered around one world, XRP. Now, I'm not talking about hopium. I'm not talking about tribal loyalty. I'm talking about patterns, data, and historical setups that scream one thing: something big is forming. And while everyone's eyes are glued to Bitcoin, watching every single tick on the daily chart, the smart money's already positioning for what could be one of the most powerful altcoin surges in modern history. Today, we're going to break down why XRP could outpace Bitcoin in the next major market cycle, not just because of price action, but because of timing, structure, and history itself repeating in ways most people aren't prepared for. Let's start where every real analysis starts: the chart, because numbers don't lie and patterns have memories. If you zoom out far enough, XRP structure reads like a heartbeat: massive surges followed by deep consolidation, then another explosion. And this rhythm is not random. It mirrors what we've seen across every major market in history right before liftoff. Think about the Dow Jones after the Great Depression, the NASDAQ after the dot-com collapse, even gold after Nixon ended the gold standard. Each one of those assets hit a point of capitulation, that final phase where fear peaks and the crowd gives up, only to set the stage for a run so violent that it rewrote financial history. That's the moment we're in right now with XRP. Years of consolidation, legal fog, media negativity, all foaming what technicians call a basing pattern. And those patterns, they don't end quietly. They end explosively. But here's the thing. The XRP story isn't just technical, it's macro, because we're living through one of the biggest monetary transitions since the Bretton Woods Agreement. The global financial system is cracking under its own weight. Debt is climbing, fiat currencies are losing trust, and nations are quietly racing towards digital settlement networks. In the 1940s, it was gold that reset global finance. In the 1970s, it was the petrodollar. And in 2020, it might just be digital liquidity networks like XRP's backbone that define the next era. This isn't about speculation anymore, it's about infrastructure. We're talking about cross-border payments, settlement in seconds, regulatory clarity emerging, and banks that once laughed at crypto now building pilot programs using tokenized liquidity. When history rhymes, it rewards those who can hear the echo. Every exaggerated sell-off in history, from Black Monday in 1987 to the COVID crash in 2020, one common outcome: the violent recovery. It's the same story told over and over. When the herd panics, the institutions accumulate. When charts print despair, smart money prints entry points. Same psychology that drove investors out of Amazon at $5 in 2021 is what's keeping people blind to XRP's setup right now. Because that's the thing. Opportunity never looks oblivious when it's real. It looks ugly, risky, and irrational. And that's why most people miss it. If you strip away the noise and just study the structure, you'll see XRP's multi-year wedge forming exactly like past pre-breakout phases. It's a coiled spring, energy building over years of compression. The longer it builds, the bigger the breakout. Back in 2017, a similar compression led to a 2,500% surge. Before that, in 2014, another multi-year base launched XRP into its first real bull cycle. Now in the current cycle, we're seeing the same coiling, but this time with fundamentals stronger than ever and global liquidity far deeper. Every compression in history, from gold's 1970s wedge to Tesla's 2019 consolidation, has produced exponential breakouts that caught everyone off guard. History loves to surprise the unprepared. For years, regulation was the cloud hanging over XRP. But what happens when the cloud lifts? Regulatory clarity isn't just legal, it's psychological. It changes how institutions move. It opens the doors for ETFs, future products, custody solutions, and sovereign adoption. Every asset class that's gone mainstream has gone one defining moment: legitimacy. Gold had Bretton Woods, stocks had the SEC, Bitcoin had ETFs, and now XRP is walking to its own moment of clarity. That's the shift that most retail investors underestimate, the invisible moment where doubt turns into corporate conviction. You can't talk about markets without talking about human emotion, because charts are nothing more than a reflection of our collective fear and greed. At the bottom, people are numb. They've seen losses. They've lost hope. That's where the true cycles begin. And right now, XRP sentiment is eerily similar to Bitcoin in 2015, Ethereum in 2018, and even Apple stock in the early 2000s. When everyone thought it was finished, the same emotional exhaustion that precedes innovation, the same disbelief that marks the beginning of the next era. Let's step away from the charts for a second and look at what really matters: utility. Because hype fades, but utility endures. While most altcoins live on speculation, XRP lives on infrastructure. It was built to move value, not memes, not JPEGs, value. And that's why it keeps showing up in conversations at the highest level of finance. When you have banks, governments, and payment giants quietly testing digital liquidity systems, you start to see where this story leads. It's not about replacing Bitcoin, it's about complementing it. Bitcoin is a store of value, XRP is the movement of value. And when those two forces align in the same ecosystem, that's when the new economy emerges. Every financial revolution has had a token of transformation. Gold had its moment when the world abandoned the silver standard. Tech stocks had theirs when the internet replaced newspapers. And now digital assets are having theirs as blockchain replaces outdated settlement rails. The parallel is uncanny. XRP today is sitting where gold was in 1971, where Amazon was in 2001, and where Bitcoin was in 2015. Undervalued, misunderstood, and structurally poised for exponential growth. It's the calm before a historical revaluation, and where very few are ready for it. Let's talk about big picture. Central banks are running out of levers. Interest rates can only rise so far before economies start to fracture. And this fractured digital assets become the release valve. Every era, inflation and debt crisis produced an alternative store or channel of value, whether it was gold in the 1970s, real estate in the 1980s, or tech stocks in the 2000s. In this era, that alternative is tokenized liquidity, and XRP by design sits at the intersection of global finance and blockchain efficiency. That's why analysts call it the bridge. It's not about hype, it's about solving trillion-dollar inefficiencies. Here's a lesson from history that never fails. The crowd always gets it wrong at turning points. During the gold rush, most miners went broke. It was the ones selling shovels who got rich. During the dot-com crash, the crowd sold Amazon at 5. The contrarians held. And during every crypto winter, the loudest voices screamed it's over right before the market goes vertical. That's where we are now. People mocking XRP holders, calling it outdated, the same noise that echoes every major breakout in history. Because when narratives are most negative, setups are most powerful. And when everyone stops paying attention, that's when real wealth is quietly made. Every bull market's powered by a narrative. 2013 was Bitcoin's discovery phase. 2017, the ICO mania. 2021 was DeFi and NFTs. 2025 could be the era of utility tokens and real-world settlements. The ones that actually move money, not memes. That's why the conversation's shifting. ETFs are being filled. Payment corridors are expanding. Central banks are now studying digital bridges instead of fighting them. It's not speculation, it's migration. Money's migrating from the analog world to the digital world, and XRP is positioned as one of the rails in that new system. Now, I'm not throwing random numbers out here. I'm talking about historical ratios, retracements, and expansions that repeat across time. In every major market rebound from gold to tech to crypto, the assets that consolidated the longest often move the furthest. So if XRP does even a fraction of what it's done in the past cycles, we're not talking small moves, we're talking multifold exponential expansion. It's not the numbers that matter. It's the psychology behind it. Because when people finally believe again, when the crowd starts chasing green candles, that's when it's already too late. The quiet accumulation phase is where fortunes are made. Zoom out far enough and the noise disappears. What's left is a pattern older than crypto itself. Innovation, rejection, adoption, mania, reset, repeat. It's the same cycle that built the railroads, the internet, and every financial revolution. And XRP is somewhere between rejection and adoption right now. That means we're early. Painfully early, but that's where the biggest asymmetric opportunity lives. So when people ask me why XRP, my answer is simple, because the chart, the macro, and the history all point to the same thing, inevitability. No, it won't be a straight line. It never is. Markets breathe. They shake out the weak hands. They climb the wall of disbelief. But every once in a while, an asset reaches that alignment. Technicals, fundamentals, and timing. And when that happens, it doesn't just outperform, it redefines the market. That's what XRP looks like right now. Not a gamble, a setup that could shock everyone watching from the sidelines. The irony of financial history is this. Every generation gets the same chance, just in different forms. The 1800s had railroads, the 1900s had oil, the 2000s had the internet. And the 2020s have had digital liquidity. Some will laugh at it, some will ignore it, and a few will recognize it for what it is, the foundation of the next financial era. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button, ring the bell, leave a comment with your thoughts, turn on notifications, and most importantly, subscribe to the Crypto Republic, bringing you the truth about XRP, global banking moves, and the wealth transfer already unfolding. Don't just watch history happen. Stay informed, stay ahead, stay in the Republic.